One's ready. Go!
So you guys are going into Special Warfare Assessment Selection. It is an attributes-based selection model. What does that mean?
Guys, are we running right now to get fitter with practicing running? Practicing.
Right? I can't freaking.
So there's a holistic picture that we're looking for. The instructors are giving you input, and we're expecting an output. And everything is for a reason. If you guys haven't heard my spiel yet, everything that we do, every single exercise, has a connection to the job that you're trying to do. We don't want people at INDOC, Special Warfare Assessment Selection, whatever they're gonna call the new course when it inevitably changes somewhere down the road. I don't care what they call it. What I need is you to show me the raw materials for the things that I wanna build you into. Just like everything else, it's a crawl, walk, run.
I can run a key slur just like this.
All the way to ATC, you never quit.
All the way to ACC, you never quit.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. This is your daily drop for the 28th of January, brought to you by Operator Training Summit. We have events scheduled all through 2026. Our next one is at the University of Alabama, and that's in March. We would love to see you guys there. They are being so gracious and letting us use their facilities. The football players are supposed to be coming and doing some of the workouts with us. It's going to be fantastic. I mean, you know, Saban's asked me for advice. It's wild. I don't know what's going on. It's so crazy. Saban just keeps sliding into my DMs and doing like, "Hey man, what's your advice on this? Like, where should we take the program?" and that kind of stuff. And I don't really know what to say to that because man, I don't know. He recognizes something in me. So, whatever. So maybe he'll come and chat with us. Maybe not. I don't know. But we'd love for you guys to come out there and work with us and train with us. And you can register for that event or any of the events at operatortrainingsummit.com. Now we're going to kick things off with the Army. Charges dropped in Fort Hood shooting case. Army prosecutors dropped charges against a soldier accused of concealing the cause of a 2023 shooting death at Fort Hood following the acquittal of another involved soldier. This resolves the court-martial proceedings, and the decision came after reviewing evidence from the initial investigation. All right, next. Continuation of CAMO GPT AI platform. The Army has no plans of deactivating its specialized CAMO GPT machine learning tool despite the rollout of the new GenAI.mil platform. This maintains access to purpose-built AI models for personnel, and the platform remains essential for Army-specific applications in data analysis. Leave it to the Army to continue to do their own thing, right? Everybody thinks that the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, the Marines, they all play well together. There are, within just the Air Force or the Army or in an organization, just at a very low level echelon in the Army, Navy, Air Force, there's overlap. There's so much money, man hours, just effort wasted by things. And, Army, not surprised you guys are keeping this up. I'm really not. Navy. Operation of the Air Force F-35A variants. The Navy's VX-9 squadron at Naval Air Weapons Station, China Lake, is now operating Air Force F-35A Joint Strike Fighters. This expands test and evaluation capabilities, and the initiative enhances tactical development for multi-domain operations. Next, retention of Littoral Combat Ships. The Navy decided not to decommission additional Littoral Combat Ships ahead of their service life, resulting in a net 7 hulls in the surface force. This adjusts fleet management strategies and this move responds to evolving mission requirements in contested environments. All right, next, Marines. Transportation to Norway deployment. The Marines, United States Marine Corps personnel flew to Norway aboard the New England Patriots private jet just before the team Super Bowl qualification. This facilitated rapid deployment for training. The flight supported participation in NATO exercises amid regional tensions. What the? All right. The New England Patriots private jet flew Marines to Norway. All right. I don't care about the legalities of that, because I'm sure there's no way an officer made that decision or approved it or allowed it without getting the legal department or the JAG to review it. There's zero chance that happened. So, assuming that everything's legal with that, how freaking badass. That is awesome. I hope they got the full treatment on that private jet all the way to Norway, because I'm sure the seats were incredible, the entertainment was incredible, the food was incredible. Man, I'm jealous, fellas. That's pretty damn cool. And then also kudos to the New England Patriots for, offering it up or allowing it. I mean, that's awesome. All right. Air Force news. Details withheld on Middle East exercise. The Air Force remains silent on specifics of the multi-day exercise in the Middle East as U.S. military buildup continues. This occurs amid White House warnings to Iran regarding the protests, and the activity involves regional partners to ensure readiness. Next, expansion of the E-4 Charlie Doomsday plane role. The Air Force is assuming responsibility for the Airborne Command Post mission, potentially adapting the new E-4C for Airborne Intercontinental Ballistic Missile Launcher duties. This revives the Looking Glass program, and the transition includes upgraded systems for survivable communications. I'm not going to dive into this. Obviously, you can read this here and you can read a whole bunch of stuff online. The reason why I'm not going to dive into this is because I don't know what is classified and what is not. And the last thing I want to do is put something out there and endanger any tactics, techniques, procedures that we have, or any kind of capabilities that we have. So I'm going to shut my mouth on that in particular. All right, next, collaboration with Stanford on cockpit AI. The Air Force partnered with Stanford University to test artificial intelligence assistance for cockpits to alleviate pilot workload in emergencies and diagnostics. This evaluates AI in high-stress scenarios, and the program focuses on real-time system support for aviators. I'm obviously not a pilot, but if I were to transfer this to something that could kill me, let's say military freefall, and somehow I had some kind of integrated communication slash parachute deployment system or anything like that could help save my life or help me fly my body or my canopy when emergencies occur. I don't know how I feel about that. Now, you could make the argument that, hey, during military freefall operations or even just skydiving, everybody has an automatic opening or automatic actuation device. A Cypress is what it's called. That's generally what people are using, as Cypress. And what it does is it measures the pressure and the speed at which you're falling, and so measures the speed at which you're falling, and it also measures the pressure, so it knows at what elevation you're at, and you can set it to fire at a certain altitude. I said elevation, I meant altitude. But then it also has a fail-safe that no matter what, if it's set wrong or set too low, that it'll always fire at a designated altitude. So that's not AI, but that's just a fail-safe emergency thing, right? Device that's going to save my life. I don't know how I feel about an AI system who is probably, can react and identify situations before a human can. I still don't know how I feel about AI controlling things within a cockpit in an emergency situation. Now, I would like to think that if the pilot inputs any kind of commands or controls or anything like that while flying, that it would override anything that the AI puts into it. But there are certainly scenarios in the civilian and military aviation where an AI, where there's a pilot and they're putting inputs into the controls and not getting something back, and they're still trying to troubleshoot what it is before a fatal or a catastrophic accident. Whereas maybe an AI would recognize that and go, hey, you don't have the flap set correctly or something like that. So I can make the argument for both. I just wonder if there's a pilot out there that would be okay with this and kind of letting go of the stick and allowing AI to fly it and get them out of an emergency situation. I tend to think that that is not the case, but maybe I'm wrong. And we do have some pilots that listen to this. So if you guys do, please comment or hit me up via text, because all of you guys have my number. So I don't know. All right, next. Century ALOHA exercise participation. Over 1,000 troops, including Air National Guard units from across the country, are involved in the Century ALOHA exercise hosted by the Hawaiian Air National Guard's 154th Wing. This large-scale training enhances combat skills, and the events features simulated scenarios for air defense readiness. Space Force. Adoption of the new acquisitions tool. The Space Force program is leveraging new acquisition methods to incorporate commercial technologies and this aligns with the administration reforms. The approach targets rapid prototyping for space systems. Next, selection of contractors for GEO satellites. The Space Force plans to select contractors in March for the Geosynchronous Reconnaissance and Surveillance Program. This advances next-generation spy satellites, and the initiative focuses on persistent monitoring from geostationary positions. All right, now on to the coasties. Introduction of jet skis for border security. The Coast Guard is deploying personal watercraft like jet skis as a new tool for border security operations. This adds agile assets to marine patrols, and the vehicles enable quick interdiction along coastlines. I'm surprised that they haven't been doing this already. Like, jet skis are super. I mean, we have police and highway patrol that have motorcycles, and they have motorcycles for a reason, because they can get out to places quicker. It's the same for a jet ski. I just kind of surprised that it's taken them this long to do it. It's probably because some boomer sees a jet ski or hears a jet ski purchase request going out there and going, absolutely not. The guys can't go out there and do that, because all they want it for is to have fun. Whereas for 15, 20 years now, we've been parachuting jet skis or, aquatic rescue vehicles, if that's what you want to call it. We've been throwing them out of planes and using them to rescue people. So, man, Coast Guard, you guys are behind, but I'm glad it's happening. All right, next, this is for Secretary of Defense or Secretary of War. Advocacy for new anti-fraud measures. Advocates urged a comprehensive approach to combat rampant fraud targeting service members and veterans during a congressional roundtable. This calls for addressing root causes and predators. The discussion highlighted the need for enhanced protection and enforcement. I talked about this yesterday. There is absolutely a lot of fraud that happens in the contracting world. And we talked about the 8A contract vehicle or contractors and that kind of stuff. It's an ugly world out there, that is for sure. Next, free prescriptions for remote TRICARE families starting February 28th. Active duty family members in remote areas enrolled in TRICARE Prime Remote will receive covered prescriptions at no cost. This benefits those far from military facilities. The policy applies to the United States to support family warfare. Sorry, I'm getting tripped up. Somebody was hanging outside my car window and I thought they were trying to get my attention. And I have no idea who they are. So, all right. Updated guidance on drone threats. The DOW classified all unauthorized drone flights near military installations as surveillance threats, granting base commanders more authority to counter them. This updates Joint Interagency Task Force 401 protocols, and the change empowers local responses to potential intrusions. This is a great move, great policy. I'm here for it. Empower the commanders to do what they need to do in order to protect what you have charged them to protect. Exposure of DoD sites to drones. The DoD Inspector General report revealed major installations remain vulnerable to drone attacks despite existing policies. This highlights bureaucratic issues in implementation, and the findings emphasize the need for consistent counter-drone defense. All right, moving on to President of the United States. Potential government shutdown is looming. Congress is approaching a partial shutdown following the killing of Alex Preddy in Minneapolis. With disputes over funding bills, the White House urged passage of the package excluding Homeland Security adjustments. Excluding Homeland Security adjustments. I just want to make sure I said that right. The impasse stems from demands for policy changes in response to the incident. Basically, we're going to, I think we're going to have another shutdown. I really do. I don't want it to happen. I'm not begging for it or anything like that, but I just, okay, what has changed from now, policy-wise? What has changed from now since 1 October when we had a 40-something day shutdown? Nothing. Nothing has changed. In fact, things have just gotten a little bit more contentious, right? So yeah, here we go again. Let's see what happens. All right, that is it for today. I appreciate you guys being here. Head over to onesready.com, pick yourself up a piece of merch, show us that you love us. And then obviously comment. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Visit us over on Operator Training Summit to get registered for any of our events in 2026. And, let me know what Saban may want to talk to me about. Like, it's just weird. We'll figure it out. All right. See you.